But ultimately speaking, if we're identified and attached, we're going to suffer. And why are we going to suffer? Because it's shakable. And all I'm saying is our meditation practice, and it can also manifest in our Aikido practice. Fudoshin is the deepest, is among the deepest state we can have when we remove everything that is not Fudoshin. And in terms of Aikido, when we remove everything that is not Fudoshin, we have a remarkable taste, there's a remarkable dropping away of fear. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our community call on Aikido and meditation. This is the fourth of a series of 6 calls that we're going to be doing. These calls are 1-hour gatherings monthly, and they're kind of a preparation for an Aikido and meditation retreat that I am going to be leading in January in the Netherlands. And Magaike is actually one of the organizers. Magaike and Honi couldn't join us today. I think at the end of the session today, Magaike is going to say a few words about this retreat. So I will pass it to her. But until then, today, we've been looking at, for those of you who've done my meditation for Aikidoka course, I know Kelly and Bob and Mandy and Alex, quite a few people here have already done it. But we're looking at the main teachings or topics or modules, I guess, of that course. Each one of them are really profound and powerful meditative states that are very, very helpful to cultivate in our Aikido practice. We looked at the purification of the mind. We looked at Zanshin, the sustained presence of mind in Aikido. Last month, we looked at Mushin, the no mind or the negated mind in Aikido. And today we're going to be looking at Fudoshin. Fudoshin means the movable mind or the unshakable mind. And it is helpful to understand at the beginning that Shin in Japanese, it's a little bit of a global term for, it could be mind, which in the West, that's what we have up here. It could also be heart, which in the West, that's what we have down here. Shin actually encompasses both. The Japanese term Shin, Chinese term Qin. Cheng, Shin, H-S-I-N, I believe. Something like that. Or it could mean consciousness. So we will say the immovable mind, but it could also be the immovable heart. It could also be the immovable consciousness. It is a state of being that when everything inside of us that is shakable has relaxed, dissolved, receded to the background, is somehow offline in that, it's a meditative state. It's a deeper meditative state, whether you're sitting in, hours and hours of meditation or whether you're at the marketplace shopping, it doesn't matter. When you shift into that state, everything that is shakable has dissolved or faded away temporarily. And what is left is unshakable. So what that means is everything inside of us that is shakable, and we'll get to this, we're going to kind of look at this a little bit more closely soon, but everything inside of us that is shakable, whenever we have, if those aspects of the self are operating, or if we are identified with something that is shakable, then we're not in Fudoshin. There's no Fudoshin. There is no unshakable mind. When those things are somehow removed, not that we can pick them up and remove them, don't misunderstand me, but when those things are somehow removed or not operating, then what would be left would be immovable, Fudoshin. So, what is shakable? What does shakable mean? Or what does movable mean? Anything, any relative perspective, point of view, identity, experience, or physical, mental, emotional, psychological, cultural, historical identification, anything is that we can identify as a thing, from a Buddhist point of view, that's shakable. Why is that shakable? Because it's conditioned phenomena. It is conditioned experience. What does conditioned mean? It means that all phenomena, physical and non-physical phenomena, physical, mental, energetic phenomena that has manifested in the universe, everything is conditioned by basic universal characteristics, fundamental to that manifestation. First one being is impermanence, that all phenomena is changing sooner or later, usually sooner. It is all always changing. Because it is changing, there's no abiding satisfaction, so it's unsatisfactory. No abiding satisfaction means that there's nothing that we can hold on to for security. It's good to have security in life, you know. With our kids, we give them a nice blanket they can wrap up. They have a security blanket. We want that. Our children need mommy and daddy for security. Security is super important in life. Insurance is super important in life. Social medicine is super important in life, or insurance, or job and a car and some resources behind you. That's all so very important in life. Security. But it's temporary. It's all temporary. It's good to have, but we just have to understand that it's temporary. And the reason I'm emphasizing this, and this is totally from a Buddhist point of view, the reason I'm emphasizing this is because we kind of see it the opposite way. We see our possessions, our precious possessions, as something that's permanent. It's kind of the quote unquote wrong view. When actually it's good that I have this device. There's a lot of computing power here. And I run my business, I run my life, I connect with my family, I organize things through this, and I read the news, whatever. It's good to have that, but it's not going to stick around for long. I hope it does, but it's just, the things in the universe, and among those things includes you and me, that we are not permanent. And because there's nothing solid to hold on to for permanence, for security, it's unsatisfactory. Ultimately speaking, relatively speaking, sure, we get a lot of satisfaction in life. Ultimately speaking, the things that we love and we want to hold on to are going to slip through our fingers at some point. I say things, could be people as well, for sure, the people. Eventually it'll be us as well, sooner or later. And I wish for all of us that it's later, but it's going to happen. It's unavoidable. Therefore, there's no abiding satisfaction. Therefore, it's shakable. So there's impermanence, there's unsatisfactoriness. And if we can see deep enough into the true nature of phenomena, we can see deep enough into that, we'll realize that it's all empty, that it's anatta, it's non-self, that there is no self. You could also say there's no insubstantial. So this iPhone, I mean, it's already, what is it, a 10 or something? I don't know if it's 10 or a 9. And man, it was the hottest thing when I got it. But now it's like, whatever, what are we on, 13 or 14? I don't know. So, like, so I'm already kind of, my attachment to this phone. Got a new picture of my kids on it. I love my new picture of my kids. It's all things that I love, and they give me joy. They give me, they help me live my life, but they're impermanent. Now, if we can stay with that, ultimately we'll realize that it is anatta, it is non-self, it is insubstantiality, it is fundamentally empty. Again, with the things, but especially with us. So there's impermanence, there's unsatisfactoriness, and there's non-self. Anything that we think is permanent, the secret is that it's shakable. It's not the unshakable mind. It's not the immovable mind. It is shakable. Why? Because it's not permanent, it's impermanent. Anything that we get our satisfaction, a nice bowl of ice cream, pick your favorite ice cream. So satisfying. That's so good. Ice cream is good. I like ice cream. Maybe too much. Okay. But ultimately that's going to disappear. It's going to melt, or it's going to be gone, or go to the freezer and it's not there. And I'm just going to be, I'm going to, so anything that I think is, any pleasure I have in life ultimately will turn to displeasure. Therefore, dukkha, therefore it's shakable. And non-self, this third universal characteristic, anything that I say is self, this is it, this is me, this is my belief, this is my political belief, this is my gender belief, this is my cultural belief, this is my health belief, this is my Aikido belief, this is my style belief, this is my meditation school belief, this is my teacher belief, this is my parents' belief, this is like everything that makes up Miles, the identification that turns out to be Miles or you. Ultimately speaking, that's empty. Why is it empty? Because it's not going to stick around. It came from nowhere. It's here from some time. It kind of fixates, and there's like a fixates and locates in space and time, and then eventually it's going to disappear. And the fact is, in a deeper state of meditation, we'll see that that's disappearing all the time. So those are the things. And it's basically all existence. Remember, everything in the universe is conditioned by these three phenomena. So these three, all of the things that are all conditioned phenomena in the universe is shakeable, is movable. That's not a problem. I'm not saying that as a condemnation or criticization. It's just the truth. How do you know it's the truth? Just observe. Just observe. Just observe. Even a diamond that sticks around for whatever 10,000, 100,000 years, some point it's going to be gone. It's going to change. So meditation will help us understand this. Now, how does all of this relate to Aikido? Because we're talking about Aikido and meditation. O-sensei's let's say O-sensei's spiritual awakening, whatever that was, allowed him to manifest Aikido. He was a badass. He was a martial arts badass, and he was seemed like a pretty good guy, actually, like really solid character. And he did a lot of really cool things. Maybe some of the things he did was a bit confused, when he went to China, whatever. But he seemed like just a solid, like a good person and a good martial artist. I would have loved to train with a guy like that. And in fact, I have. But what made O-sensei so special is that he had his spiritual awakening, that he attained some level of enlightenment of the non-dual nature. And then all of his martial arts, what was expressed from that, the martial arts that were expressed from that awakened perspective, was what he called Aikido. And he has so many beautiful quotes that we can read to this day, because he left them behind. One of the things he said is that if you want to discover the true nature of Aikido, you must understand emptiness. Understand doesn't mean intellectually understand. It means coming into contact with it and having a first-person experience of it. Another thing that he said is that there's no competition in Aikido. The moment somebody has the intention to attack me because I'm in completely undefended but also empty state, it's like whatever the aggression they give to themselves comes right back on them. This happens from a state of emptiness. This happens from that spiritual realization, and it also happens in a state of the immovable mind. When he would shift into that state, however he did it, he was immovable. He was internally immovable. There was no moving target there. There was no target. If you think of martial arts and especially if there's competition and fighting, there's really you're looking for the KO. And if you connect with the right place at the right time in the right way with the right technique before your opponent it connects, KO, you're out. Shakeable. It's shakeable. And that's all relative. The person that's the biggest, fastest, strongest, trains the most, is the luckiest, will win. Zero sum. But Aikido's something else. O-sensei Aikido comes from a different place. And to help us understand that, we must work through every part of ourself that is shakeable. It can be done in two ways. I can really start to look at my identifications. And this is good work. Yeah. So look at culturally I'm American, and culturally I'm from Texas, and culturally I'm also a man, and culturally I'm just trying to think of back in the day when I lived in Texas in America. Culturally, I like sports and stuff like that. And these were really strong identifications for me, and they were good, and I went far. We must have identifications to go through life. But at a certain point, those things became limitations. And when it was a limitation, I would run into those limitations, I would suffer. So in one way, with the immovable mind, we're working on undoing the identifications. We're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Sometimes we do that. But ultimately, we want to work through those so we can differentiate and integrate. Differentiate and integrate. That's one. Another way that we can have a state of immovable mind we can experience immovable mind is in a state of meditation where something shifts, something happens. Our energetic effort, mindful awareness, and concentration develop to a degree where they're balanced and focused and stable. And then I'm able to shift into deeper meditative states where we see the direct true nature of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and ultimately not the non-self, emptiness. When we have that state, we start to experience immovable mind. It can happen kind of randomly. You don't have to do meditation to have these things. You can be doing art. You can be doing marathon running. You can be just like really the type of person that just really focuses in your work and you're just completely there and everything else disappears. Even the I don't know, if you're sharpening a tool, the sharpening disappears, the sharpening disappears, the tool disappears, and the sharpener disappears, and there's just things that are manifesting. That's an immovable mind. But it can also be trained in meditation. And if you actually want to have, let's say, open up access to the immovable mind and have regular access where you can actually, how to get into immovable mind, then that requires a committed, sustained meditation practice with some type of method and some type of technique and ideally even some type of guidance. But hang on, somebody's calling me. I'm sorry, just a second. Yeah, I don't call that. It's just like, yeah. See, shakeable. There's an Aikido class going on, and they want to know if I was still here. There's always something. Yeah, it's always something. And are we like caught by it, or are we able to just kind of, what do you say, flow with it? So it's important. It's important to understand this, that it's our very identifications that prevent Fudoshin, that prevent the immovable mind. And today we're going to look at those. I often what do you say? I often repeat or tell the story of Danny Kaye, who was back in the day, he was an entertainer. And at the end, he was on TV a lot, on the radio, I guess. And at the end of one of his performances, or his shows, he told the story about being an artist. He talked about what it means to be an artist. He says, it's easy to be an artist. You take a block of, let's say you're a sculptor. You take a block of wood and you want to make an elephant. You just have to remove everything that isn't elephant. And in a way, when we're doing these deeper meditative states, or when we're trying to integrate some sense of non-self or emptiness in our Aikido practice. Aikido is personal, and it's fine that it's personal. We also want to have access to something that's impersonal. And the best experience in Aikido is when the personal is an expression of the impersonal, rather than one or the other. So we have to kind of allow ourselves to remove everything that isn't elephant. In the story, elephant was just a block of wood. It was an elephant that you would try to create from sculpting. In Aikido, if we want to align with the deeper principles of Aikido, if we want to align with the spiritual perspective that was discovered by O Sensei, that he expressed, that he manifested, that he transmitted, that he communicated, that he passed on as a legacy to everybody else who is practicing, and it spread through the world like wildfire. It's really incredible that this thing manifested. That, look at Aikido today. If we want to taste that, we have to remove everything that isn't elephant. So if we want to taste the deeper spiritual depth of Aikido, we have to remove everything that isn't the deeper spiritual depth of Aikido. But I don't want you to misunderstand me, because it's important to have, it's not important, but we have Aikido clothes. Yeah. Nothing wrong with the gis that we wear. I like my gi. Nothing wrong with the hakama. It's kind of cool. I like the hakama. But if we're identified with and attached to that, it's going to be, it's fine. It's not a problem, but we won't experience Fudoshin. It's good to have a school, a style. In fact, I would say it's important to have a school, a style, even organization. It's important to have a teacher, and and there's all kinds of teachings and rules and agreements that you get from working with a teacher. That's super important. It's very difficult for us to walk this path without a guide. But if we limit our identification to that, to some type of, if we limit ourselves to an identification with that teacher, or, and this is really something that happens a lot in the art, if our teacher's here and we never give ourselves permission to be more, it's going to be a limitation. We won't experience Fudoshin. We won't experience. And I'm not saying, well, I guess you can kind of say that, there's all these stories from mythology of killing the mother and killing the father. And in Zen, they say, you gotta, the last stroke is to kill the teacher. Not physically, of course, but really you have to go beyond. If we're limiting ourselves, we'll never go beyond. We have to give ourselves permission to go beyond. It doesn't mean leave your teacher. You might. Doesn't mean stay with your teacher. You might. Best situation would that your teacher would be open-minded enough to allow you to keep growing. But when we fixate around a strong identity and have around, let's say, a strong teacher that has a strong identity, and we're identified with that, then it's very difficult to experience Fudoshin. So we have to remove everything that isn't elephant. We have to remove everything that isn't Fudoshin. So what are some of the things in Aikido? Let's just take our art that we all love. We wouldn't be here if not. What are some of the, let's write this down in the chat, actually. What are some of the things, I'm going to open up my chat, didn't open it. Would you say that are important aspects, important elements, important identifications about Aikido? Things that you love and appreciate about Aikido. Can you write in the chat? What do you love about the art? What do you appreciate about the art? Non-aggression. Oh, awesome. Great. Non-aggression. Nilu says non-aggression. What else? Extension of ki. Fantastic. One of the 4 principles of ki Aikido. The life-affirming quality of it. Partner work. Fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic. I think we're speaking about more principle stuff. What else? Let me be even more physical listening. Oh, that's great. I love that, Fiona. Physical listening. Beautiful. Let me be more specific. What do you love about your endless digging and discovering, Adriana? Nice. What do you love about your school? Whatever school you think is like, okay, that's kind of my favorite school. Maybe you practiced, you moved to another dojo, or you moved to another town. Connection. Beautiful. What do you love about your school? Adriana says endless digging. Yeah. So Barbara says connection. Adriana says creativity. Okay. What else do you love about your school? Appreciate about your school. Group harmony. Fantastic. Techniques. Adriana, nice. Appreciation and caring for others. Wonderful. When I practiced, I had a few different schools, a few different teachers, but like when I practiced in Japan, wow, strong tradition. It was really like, right, you were like drinking from the source. It felt like. Susie says movement. Thomas says friendship. Oh, nice. Yeah. So there's a social aspect to it. It's where some of the closest relationships our brothers and sisters on the path, for sure. So these are all great things. You could also say, I love my style. You could also say, I love my teacher. You say, I love my organization. I love the Aikikai. You could say, I love Yoshinkan. I love this USAF. Is it CAF, Kelly, in Canada? See, I guess I love the CAF. Here in Israel, it's the Israeli Aikikai. I love the Israeli Aikikai. A deeper understanding of myself. I love the tradition. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love the tradition. I got a lot from that tradition. Now, these are all great things. Now, here's the thing. Each one of these things, if we're not careful, can be elevated to put up on an altar. I love the integral success of mindfulness. Nice. They can be put up on an altar and turned into a sacred cow. Yep. And there's a lot of sacred cows in Aikido. Lots and lots of sacred cows in Aikido. There was O Sensei, of course, and there's that first generation of teachers after O Sensei that came to the West. And these were pioneers, amazing teachers, but often they become kind of, they become living legends in one way that's not completely who they are. So these are all things that can become strong identifications. And again, I have my teacher and have nothing but the deepest love for my teacher. And I definitely put him up on a pedestal for many, many years. And I wouldn't say that I took him down from the pedestal that I created. In my case, I just sorted it out. I sorted out where he was just another human being who had human shortcomings like all of us, and where he was just a beautiful being. I aspire to be like that. So it took time, but it also took a willingness. I gave myself permission and a willingness to know what was really true there. And the thing is, we'll never get to Fudoshin. Like a full Fudoshin is completely unshakable. And anything that we defend about our identification, or anything we defend about our body or our school or our beliefs, even though some beliefs are definitely worth fighting for, some principles are definitely worth defending. Democracy might not be the best, but kind of the best we got. There are things that are worth fighting for. But ultimately speaking, if we're identified and attached, we're going to suffer. And why are we going to suffer? Because it's shakable. And all I'm saying is our meditation practice, and it can also manifest in our Aikido practice. Fudoshin is the deepest, is among the deepest state we can have when we remove everything that is not Fudoshin. And in terms of Aikido, when we remove everything that is not Fudoshin, we have a remarkable taste. There's a remarkable dropping away of fear. A remarkable dropping away of fear. The basic biological instinct that is afraid when our boundaries are approached and or threatened. And it is a martial art, so we get to practice that all the time. So why don't we do a quick breakout, and then we're going to come back and practice. We'll do a quick breakout session. What does Fudoshin in Aikido mean to you? Let me open up the groups. A second. I'll put it in groups of 3. There might be a group of 2. Yeah, there are probably 3 or 4. If you find yourself in a group, because I'm assuming that there might be 1 or 2 people that don't go into the groups. So if you find yourself in a group and you're just by yourself, so hold tight for a moment, and I'll rearrange it. You'll be moved into another room. And we're gonna just have an open discussion about Fudoshin. For you, what is Fudoshin, or the immovable mind in Aikido? And if that's already a little bit of a question, you're not so sure, ask yourself, what are some of your strongest identifications? Some of the things that you hold on to the most in Aikido. Okay? And we'll come back in about 8 minutes for that one. All right, everybody, have a great have a great breakout. Wait, yeah, I opened the rooms. All right. So welcome back, everybody. I hope that the breakout discussion was interesting for you. Now, talking about Mushin is one thing. It's important. It's don't underestimate talking. Don't overestimate talking. That's not really, it's just a start. Like in the integral scene, they talk, say that people talk about things for a few hundred years before they actually manifest. If you think of all the big movements in the evolutionary jumps of humanity, people knew about them for a long time before they really manifested. So talking is good, but practice is really where we start to taste this directly. And it'd be great if we were in the dojo and we could actually do some Aikido exercises and try to integrate an understanding of Mushin. But there's other things that we can do. And to do that, I would like to invite Adriana to do an exercise together with me. You okay with that, Adriana? How are you?
Do you hear me now?
I hear you, yeah.
Okay, yeah. The unmute was not working.
So we're going to do kind of an inquiry back and forth, and you and I are going to model this for everybody else so that they can go into a breakout room and do it themselves. Now I'm gonna actually set up the breakout rooms right now, but I won't open them. So whenever we want to develop something or realize something or understanding something, it's good to have a little bit of a map, talk about it, but it's like a map, it's a theory, but we got to put our feet in, get away from the map and walk down in the territory and make mistakes and go wrong ways and sometimes spend years in the wrong direction before we realize it was just over it. Whatever, there's all kinds of stuff, but we have to walk the territory, and that's our practice. In meditation, it's you go to a quiet place and you just turn in, and there's methods and techniques to meditate. In Aikido, ideally we go to a dojo or a gym or a center or a hall somewhere, and we practice with each other in Aikido. But there are other ways to do it as well. And what we're going to do now is kind of an inquiry, and we're going to do this kind of a back and forth inquiry. And I'm going to ask you one question. You're going to answer the question. And then I'm going to take that question a little bit further. And then you're going to repeat the same to me. So just off the top of your head, just kind of answer at first superficially, just so we can kind of see, just to model the direction. Who are you in this moment?
Adriana.
Okay.
A person.
First question is, who are you? Let's say, who are you in this moment? Yeah, that's the first question. She answered, Adriana, a person. Second question I ask is, who are you beyond Adriana, a person?
A human being.
Right. So that's the removing everything that isn't whatever, Mushin or Fudoshin. Now you're going to ask me the same questions, Adriana.
The same questions. So, Miles,
Three
who are you? Two questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who are you in the moment?
A little bit scattered. There's dancing and music downstairs, and I'm trying to organize this.
And who are you beyond that you in the moment?
Yeah, I'm letting go. I'm letting go. And who are you in this moment?
Sitting, relaxing.
And who are you beyond sitting and relaxing?
Also feeling an energy, vibrating energy underneath. A little tension in the relaxing. Who are you in this moment?
I'm spacious.
And who are you beyond that moment?
I'm expanding. And who are you in this moment?
quietly connecting.
And who are you beyond quiet connection?
Radiating, something radiating.
Okay. Thank you, Adriana. Yeah. So this was just a model so you can understand what we're doing. It's 2 questions. Who are you in this moment? And then you take the answer. I'm nervous, or I'm distracted, whatever the answer is, or I'm in love, or whatever it is. And you say, who are you beyond that? And remember, whatever Fudoshin is, it's not what we can put our finger on. So each question invites us to put our finger on something. It could even be like, I'm the Holy Spirit. You put your finger on it. And then who are you beyond that? Oh, now I'm really the Holy Spirit, or whatever it is, whatever. And you might find it go deeper and deeper and deeper. And you might find a bit of a yo-yo. It goes deep and then it goes back up, and it goes deep and it goes back. And there's an intensity. It doesn't matter. This is the practice. This is walking the territory that are going to set up the conditions for Fudoshin, the immovable mind. So I put you in groups of 2. If you find yourself in a room by yourself, please be patient. I highly encourage everybody to do this exercise, but it is optional, of course. And if you're by yourself, I'll organize the rooms. Okay? 5 minutes.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. How is everybody doing? Yeah, I actually, about half the time I was able to jump in with one of our members and practice. A member who was in a room by herself, and wow, we had a beautiful session, a beautiful little practice. I like usual. We're coming up to our time now. Like usual, I'll stick around afterwards, after the hour, and answer any questions, or we can share comments or whatever. We can share our experiences. But the important thing with these things is that we practice. Like I was saying, the map is great. And a map is important. A theory. Understanding, Mushin, Fudoshin, there's these things, you practice meditation. It can be applied to Aikido. That's all great. It's important. It's not the territory. We have to have practices. We do have practices. God bless dojos. God bless Aikido. God bless our dojo members, our Sangha members. God bless meditation. It's such a rich world with human wisdom that we have access to. And what we did today was just a taste, but I do love practicing it with everybody here. And whatever you got from today, I would encourage you to just take it a little bit out into your daily life, and maybe your dojo, and see if you can sustain it and apply it. As I said before, these gatherings, we'll be doing 2 more, one in November and one in December. These gatherings are a preparation for the Aikido meditation retreat that I'm going to be leading in the Netherlands in January. And we're not just going to practice these, through talking and through meditating together, but we're going to be practicing them also in our Aikido practice. So, Mareike, would you like to say a few words about the retreat? Roni's here as well, and Mareike and Roni are helping me organize this.
Hello. So, yes, the 13th, 14th, and 15th of January, we organize a weekend on this subject. So, Aikido and meditation. It will be in Meeuwenveen, which is located in the north of the Netherlands, in a kind of nature environment. We stay all together in one building, so we sleep there, we have meals together, we will have a meditation room, an Aikido mat, and yeah, I think it is going to be a great opportunity to see it as a kind of a research for yourself on this topic. We're really looking forward to seeing you there. And if you're not coming, please keep joining these meetings because it's for everyone. So, Ronnie, do you have it? Yeah?
Ronnie, did you want to say something? I'm sorry.
No.
Well, Mareike, so it is going to be a retreat. So even though it's an Aikido seminar, but it's going to kind of be a retreat seminar. So that means we're living together, and basically the whole weekend experience is going to be, it's kind of designed. We've spent a lot of time in the design to just deepen our experience. There'll be some silent meditation, with lots of Aikido training and some inquiry work. And then also, I think we get some good meals.
Yes, there's a cook. She's gonna cook vegetarian meals for us. We join together. We will have we have some silence. We will explain this in the weekend. It's also going to be a bit more intensive than a normal Aikido seminar. So it will be more hours practicing together than a normal Aikido seminar. So it's everybody, every level of Aikido is welcome. It doesn't matter if you just
or meditation for that matter.
That's what I wanted to say. Yeah, it
I'm
doesn't
sorry.
matter. So it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter if you're practicing Aikido for 30 years and you're a third done or whatever, or you just practice for half a year Aikido, whatever. And that also counts for the meditation part. So if you have no experience in meditation at all, just it's no problem. We will guide you through this, and it's not going to be too tough or something. It will be integrated in movement. We will have, hoe noem je dat? Uitwisselingsoefeningen. Inquiring. Yes, so I think it's
exchange.
Saturday night.
Thank you.
On Saturday night, we're going to play authentic relating games. So that'll also be a nice way to kind of, loosen up the energy a little bit, but still stay in the kind of practice. So.
Yes, and we have a community component in it. Like, it's nice to be together and share this thing. I would say.
Ronnie, or do you guys have a link for the? Can you put a link in the chat box? One moment. So if anybody is interested in it, I'm sorry, Mareike, were you finished?
Yes, I'm finished. Thank you.
I think we still have it. There's, even though it's still several months away. So there's like I think a €50 discount now. It's kind of an early bird if you register early. And so, just highly encourage that. And yeah, we'd love to see you there. And if not, we'll still be meeting online, and there'll be lots of opportunities to connect. Okay, so we've gone 2 minutes over. So with that, thank you, Mareike. Let me just, if anybody wants to stick around and ask questions or talk a little bit more, please do. Otherwise, I would encourage, remember, when we take away parts of ourselves in this practice, it's still there. If I drop the identity with Miles, if I drop the identity of being, a macho man, or if I drop the identity of being an Aikido teacher, or, having a position or whatever, that's all good. That's kind of requirements to get into deeper states of consciousness. But I can re-inhabit those. We're not throwing them away. We're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. We're differentiating, and then we're integrating them. And the practice, all of these practices, Zanshin, Mushin, Fudoshin, are actually practices that lead to state experiences called Zanshin, Mushin, and Fudoshin. And so whatever taste you got from today's practices, I would encourage you to bring it into your daily life. One of my partners said, it's so great to be in a community of people where we can practice that. Yeah, that's true. Because in our daily life, we're not with people who are interested in practicing this stuff, or they might be interested, but they're not really available for it. We have to be okay with that. We can't force depth of consciousness on anybody. We shouldn't try. We just do the work ourselves, hang out with people who also do the work, and that will invite other people to join. If you meet somebody and you're a little bit deeper, a little bit broader, a little bit more space, they very well may join you in being a little bit deeper, a little bit broader, a little bit more flexible. And in one way, we could say, well, that's the definition of Aikido. So with that, I want to wish you all a great day, a great evening. Thank you for joining. We'll be doing this again in another month. You will get an email, and I want to wish that your Aikido and your meditation practice lead you forward, forever and always forward on your path of practice. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if anybody wants to stick around, well, that's weird. Somebody just joined. If anybody wants to stick around, you're very welcome. Or if anybody has any questions or comments, I see a hand. Shake and bake. I love it. Shake and bake.
I'll stick around for a minute. I'll be right back.
Sure, no problem. Who's shake and bake?
Would you like to see an example of shakeability?
Yes, please.
Can you see me?
We can, yeah.
Okay, look at this.
Hang on just a second. I got to put my speaker view on. Oh my God, that's so awesome, Carl. What happened? Did that happen recently?
That happened just before breakfast. It's like God pointed her finger down and said, hey, look, this is shakeable.
Well,
200-year-old tree. It's 7 feet thick in the trunk.
Nothing. There was no wind or like lightning or anything. It was
no
time?
Wind, nothing. It just decided to go.
So 200 years.
It was like reminding me about shakeability.
That's amazing, Carl.
First thing I did was go outside and make sure the dogs weren't underneath it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's I mean, to witness that event in first time in 200 years, it's beautiful.
It was just awesome.
It didn't look like a dogwood though.
No, not a dogwood.
That's great. Thanks, Carl. Well, does anybody have any questions or anything that came up for you or something you're not sure of?
What do you mean by the differentiate?
Great. So we'll go to Alex, and I saw somebody else had their hand up. Was that Jens? Okay. So differentiate. So I like to use the word differentiate is when what it basically means that we can take a perspective on a perspective. So, think of, I saw my children go through, kindergarten, one of them still in kindergarten, and then to the first grade, second grade. And, every time they move to the next grade, they look back and they say, they're just not little kids anymore. I mean, they're still little kids, but they're not that. They've differentiated in their childhood development. They become a first grader and they became a second, and they have a perspective of what it means to be a kindergartner. So, but they've differentiated. Now, if they went to the first grade and they're still identifying as a kindergartner, developmentally, and this is pretty simplistic, and I'm being simplistic on purpose. Developmentally, that's something, okay, let's work with that a little bit. Let's see if we can open them up to expanding and growing and developing. And the fundamental thing about that is to be able to differentiate from being a kindergarten. Now they're a first grader, for example. What this means in our practice is that if I'm carrying something in my shoulder from a past physical trauma, and I've done psychotherapy or whatever, I've done physiotherapy or whatever, but I still have this kind of, I'm kind of really exaggerating. I still have something. All of you can see this, but let's say that I'm not aware of it. Now, I can go to therapist after physiotherapist after physiotherapist to get this rebalanced, or to reintegrate or realign with this to become more healthy in this injury. But ultimately, I have to be able to take a perspective on it. I say, oh yeah, wait a second. And I have to accept that, yeah, no, I'm completely out of balance here because of the accident that I had, whatever, 4 years ago. So I have to, my awareness has to differentiate and say, oh yeah, this is me, but the part of me that's observing it is bigger. I've become more. Now, I might need physiotherapy. I might need even injections or whatever, or I might need an operation. That's all possible. But the basic energetic fixation gets released with awareness. did you ever because you're an Aikido teacher, did you ever say somebody's doing Aikido and they have their shoulders up, you say, pay attention to your shoulders, and they go, oh, and it just by awareness, they go like, oh, that's what differentiation is. So when we're meditating, if I'm like, let's say that I'm going to meditate the best of ever, if I'm really, really trying so hard to meditate, until I can see that I'm really forcing, the meditation won't go anywhere. But the moment I can see that I'm forcing and really get it, maybe a teacher reflects it to me, or maybe I see, oh my God, I'm forcing, and I become mindful of the forcing, what happens is the forcing tends to kind of let go. So that's what differentiated awareness means. And now once I've differentiated, then I need to integrate. I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater and never identify with that again, because it's an authentic perspective. It's okay. It may not be the most healthy or functional, but it's okay to do that. But the differentiation is key. So when I'm able when the subjective me becomes an object that can observe the subject, that's what differentiation means. That's what differentiation means. And like who is that? Kim, I'll open your mic in just a second, or you can even open your mic now if you want. In the exercise that we did before, who am I? Like, it went really deep with Nilu and I think at one point I said, she asked me and I said, peaceful. And then she said, who are you beyond that? And I actually took a perspective on the peacefulness, and then the peacefulness actually dropped away. What was the next thing I said, Nilu? I don't even remember. It was so big or empty. Do you remember what I said after peacefulness?
Did you say expansion?
I might have said that, but I was asking Nilu, because I did this with Nilu.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In a break. Yeah, it's okay. I did it with Nilu in a breakout room, but she's not opening her mic. Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
So remember when you asked me, who are you in this moment? And I said, peaceful.
Yes.
And you said, who are you beyond peaceful? And I don't remember what I said. I remember the experience.
Did you say vastness?
Vastness, yeah, could be. But really the sense of peacefulness, I saw it, and it started to dissolve, and something deeper opened up. That's what that move is. Differentiation, or differentiated awareness, I should say.
Yes.
Is that good, Alex? Great. Kim.
Thank you for that clarification. That was helpful. I've missed the previous 2 sessions. Is there a way that we can still access previous sessions?
I have them on, they're on my YouTube channel. So you can go there. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to post all of them on a page. It's a little more work for me to do. Not that much work, but I'll put them all in one place. And when you get the replay for this video, the other 2 or 3 videos will be there as well. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Great.
Ronnie, is this our 3rd meeting or our 4th meeting? I don't remember.
3rd.
Number 3. This is number 3. Okay. So, and then in the end, by the end, we'll have 5 total. So they'll all be in one place. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Kim. Anybody else have something you want to share or a question? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Jens, I forgot Jens. I'm sorry, Jens. Yes, please. And then we'll go to whoever that was, Jared or somebody.
Open your mic, Jens. We don't hear you, Jens.
That's your video. I might be able to open it for you. There you go.
Okay. Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Hey, yeah, so I was curious if you can speak, Miles, to your experience of I guess your dynamic felt sense of this Fudoshin, like when that's come into play in your life.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Are you doing Aikido, Jens?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I assume so, but I don't want to assume too much. So imagine, so one of the qualities of Fudoshin is that there's, I wouldn't say it's fearless. It's not that it's fearless. There's a dropping away of fear. So if somebody, Aikido is a funny thing because it's such a beautiful, enjoyable martial art, but often we get on the edge of things. We might get on our developmental edge. We might get on our physical edge. We might have an injury that, that we want to be careful. And we train with that partner that's not so sensitive. There's always one or two, that they're on their path and whatever. So, and I have all these considerations and it's like, so there's in a way, there's fear behind that that's kind of operating. Or maybe, as a man, you might be able to relate to this. Men tend to be competitive and martial and visit a dojo or go to a seminar or go to a bigger event. And, you see that the guy's training at a high level and it's like, oh my God, I don't want to train with them. So there's all those things. Now that's all shakeable. So Fudoshin would completely recognize all those things, but not be shaken. But not be shaken. Another way to think about it is if you see a flag, like fluttering flag, because the wind is blowing, so it's fluttering, it's shaking, it's moving. The wind is disrupting its stillness. But remember the flag on the moon. It's just there. It's just like there's no wind, so it's just like there. Or think of a flag that's made out of metal. The wind blows and it doesn't, even in a hurricane, it's just like holding fixated. But that's also shakeable because if it's a big enough hurricane, it'll break it down. Imagine a flag where the wind blows, it just blows right through the flag and the flag is not affected at all. It's still there. Now imagine yourself in a seminar or in a situation, normally you'd be on the edge, maybe a little bit afraid, maybe walking into those situations and they just don't touch you. Somebody, it's like somebody throws something at you and it just passes through. Or a normal thing that would like make you, do I really want to engage here? You still have the freedom to choose to engage or not engage or whatever. But you meet that situation and it just passes through you and doesn't stick to anything. In Buddhism, they use the metaphor of excrement, shit, basically. Somebody throws shit on you and it just sticks. You can imagine how unpleasant that would be. Now somebody throws shit on, and this is straight out of Buddhism. So forgive the metaphor, but it's a good one. They throw shit on you and it doesn't stick, just passes through. It's not like it hits you and it rolls off, it passes through. Because there's nothing there to attach to. So think of your optimal Aikido training with optimal Aikido partner, where you're just doing your things. You and the partner are doing their thing, and it's radically impersonal, radically alive, radically in the moment. Beautiful things are happening, and usually a lot of creative things are happening. Like, wow, there's some deep learning happening there, and new things are emerging. But there's nobody to take credit for it. Because if I step in to take credit for it, it's my ego that's stepping in, and that's going to be something that's shakeable. And to be fair, I do step in to take credit. My ego does, want what do you say, juice from, wow, look how good I just did that. Okay, fine, not a problem. Remove everything that isn't Fudoshin. Just acknowledge it. Who am I in this moment? Yeah, I'm kind of proud. Who am I beyond proud? Maybe a little embarrassed. Who am I beyond embarrassed? Whatever it is, there's nothing to prove here. Yeah. So does all that make sense, Jens?
Yes, thank you very much.
So in a way, it's an energetic direction, or it's even a direction of inquiry that we want to, that ideally we'd like to practice towards. And if and imagine being in a room of everybody's going through what we're going through, ups and downs in Aikido. We had a nice training here tonight. I had a visiting instructor, so Don Ellingsworth from Tampa, from Shuseikan Dojo. He's a student of Sensei. So he comes into town from time to time on business trips. So we teach together. Yeah, it was an exciting class. We had a lot of fun stuff. And there were ups and downs and everybody was enjoying it, but at the same time it's empty, you know. Yeah, so
Thank you.
thanks, Jens. And somebody else, was that Jared had a question or something to ask?
Sure, but I've been introducing myself to everybody as Jack.
Jack,
So I
I'm
usually
sorry,
go by
Jack.
Jack. I go by Jared for most of the official stuff because it's easier to identify me that way. Oh, I wanted to ask you about definitions of security. And if I can find out what the difference is in between one individual and the next have in their ideals for security. And this idea you mentioned earlier about security, I know it's different for me than it is for most people.
Well, you know, I'm just trying to think of the utility of exploring the differences of people's ideas of security. It could be interesting. There's no question about it, but it's kind of downstream.
All right.
Of the fundamental truth that ultimately there is no security.
Right.
So downstream of that, we can have all kinds of conversations about security. You know, what security is necessary in life and what is not necessary. And, you know, okay, we're protecting our borders, but do we really need to, you know, there's all kinds of, and, you know, and then it becomes a political discussion and it becomes a holy war or whatever. There's all kinds of things that happen downstream of that.
Exactly.
But ultimately, certainly. And by the way, in those downstream considerations, those are important. They're important to explore, important to discuss, important
Yes,
to,
sir.
you know, there is fighting the good fight. That's all good and fine. But it doesn't remove the fact that ultimately there is nothing worth holding on to. Now, I said as a father with kids, yeah, no, I would hold on to them to the end of times. There's no way around that. That's exactly what I would do. At least now that they're kids, now that they're still kids, and you know they haven't become whatever rotten teenagers yet. You know, they're still like. So I'm there. I'm, you know, as a parent, I'm there. I'm sure you can all relate to that, but the fact is, whatever we hold on to, it's going to just be cause that everything that we hold on to is the cause of our suffering.
Yes, sir. That's pretty much what I was wondering. I may have been fishing for that, but that's what I was trying to understand is like how the influence of the security issue was coming to be, and otherwise not. Otherwise, yes, that is kind of downstream, I guess. So, and that's fine. Thank you so much for addressing that with me.
Sure.
I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And again, important, you know, I'm a parent, you know, security is a very big deal for me in my life right now. There were years in my life where it was not an issue at all. I mean, it wasn't an issue beyond next week, you know, I was young and I was just happy to do Aikido and have free time and be able to go meditate. And if I had enough to go meditate, I didn't need anything else. And, you know, and I was also, I didn't have obligations and I didn't have responsibilities. And, you know, I was kind of free from, you know, having to take care of my family or something like that. Now it's very different. So now I'm super occupied with creating security because of the family. And also because, you know, I'm not young anymore. I'm getting older too.
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, I would say it's you know, it's something that I'm not always occupied with. Yeah.
Certainly. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see the time. Okay, Nilu, we can go for 7 more minutes if we need to.
Thank you. It sort of sounds like it's related to Jack's question, which is how does a person who maybe accepts that there is nothing that is tangible or nothing that's created that is immovable, but at the same time not become a nihilist?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, in terms of not being, hang on just a second. So, okay, nihilism is also emptiness, but it's a very negative emptiness. In other words, oh, there's no meaning here, there's no meaning there, it's all empty, it's, you know, it's going to disappear tomorrow, we're all going to die, what am I, why bother? Fair enough, you know, God bless us all, and you know, I don't say that in a judgmental way, I'm just characterizing it a little bit. We could say that's emptiness, it's all empty, but it's a negative emptiness, and it's a hopeless emptiness, and there's often a sense of desperation and giving up, you know, why bother type of energy. That is very different than the emptiness that we experience in meditative states, which is 100% positivistic emptiness. And it's basically that we come to that type of emptiness through the embracing of the universal truth that, you know, or any universal truth that any spiritual tradition might be teaching. But again, I'll just speak Buddhism for a moment. If we embrace the universal truth that, you know, that suffering exists, it comes, it stays for a while, and it goes away. And once it goes away, it's just a matter of time. Sooner or later, it's coming back. We're born into this life. It's a fact of life. Get with the program. Doesn't mean we're looking for it, we're celebrating it, or we're running away from it, or when it comes, we're just, okay, yeah, this is a fact. And we deal. When it goes, yeah, it's a fact, and that's fine. That is a recognition of the truth. And when we see the truth, even the truth that's kind of hard truth to see, you know, when somebody, let's say somebody passes away, almost everybody has an immediate, like, no, like denial that comes up. When we can see, when we can, you know, again, God bless us all, process and mature to the next and next and next, eventually we'll come to a point of acceptance. And yeah, it's horrible that the people we love pass away. It's horrible that we're going to pass away. But it's true. And the truth is just a beautiful thing. It's like, yeah, without that, there's no life. You know, it's just, and beyond that, I don't have past life experiences, or I've had something, but you know, I wouldn't say that I can advocate for past life experiences or afterlife experiences for that matter. But I fully believe them. Not that I've had them. I mean, I'm sure past life, I'm sure. I believe I've had them. I'm not saying I was Alexander the Great or anything like that. So I just have faith, you know, that it's going to keep going. So there's a big difference in emptiness and nihilism. And nihilism, oh my God, I don't know where. Let me just take the time. Nihilism hasn't gone beyond. The big question for nihilists is, so what's beyond nihilism? If a nihilist, if somebody who's in a nihilistic state of mind has kind of collapsed into that perspective, again, God bless everybody who has that. If they can get to the point where they say, okay, so what's beyond nihilism? They actually might find something that's bigger. So that's kind of, yeah, Neela, that's kind of all I have to say about it right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Adriana, what are you doing this weekend? You're muted.
I'm in Germany on a seminar in Dortmund.
Oh, great. I was just going to say, I'm teaching in Dortmund this week, and Avoni said he's going to, in one of the breakouts, he popped in, he said he's going to drive on Saturday, but only on Saturday. He's looking
and
for
I
somebody.
thought I will contact him after
That's great. Okay.
we finished.
All right.
Yeah.
So if anybody's in Germany or around Europe and you want to come do some Aikido this weekend, I'd love to see you in Dortmund. Otherwise, that's it for today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.